Alright, peoples, this is our book for, I guess the day, I will say that, even though it's been several days, maybe a few weeks. Eric Hoffer's The True Believer. Now, this has been on my to-read list for a long time. I've been very interested in this, and I've read some book on, like, some psychology book, and it brought this one up, and so, over a decade, it's been on my to-read list. It tells you about, like, how mass movements operate, how they entice people, what kind of people will be intrigued enough, or I don't know if that's the way to say, but enthralled enough, like they point out that usually it's somebody who doesn't feel like a sense of self-success, like they want to renounce their personhood for the cause, you know. It's like, I just want to be, it's like, what's that Bane quote, it's like, not Bane, but it's like, I remember Bane in The Dark Knight, where it's like, we're just, it doesn't matter who I am, we're just part of the cause, or whatever the fuck the line is. I haven't seen that thing in the movie in a long time. Now, the interesting thing about this, geez, so much purple. I remember this guy was like, what's your favorite color? I was like, red and black, which is like this shirt, but he's like, what? He's like, you got purple hair, you got purple glasses, you got purple, I didn't have this one time, and purple notebook. I don't know, I ended up having a lot of purple, even though it's not really, I don't think of it as my favorite color, but sliding on my face, my flip, my clapper. Oh yeah, I'm a true believer of flip phones. Alright, now let's sit up for a little bit. Now, one of the things about this book, I had to break out my notebook for this, it's got a lot of aphorisms. Like, this is a book of almost like wisdom, I think of it. Almost like, it's like cool little aphorisms are the best thing about this book. I'm going to read a few of them. And instead of just like going to the page, I have them written down on my notebook. Like, this is my most recent one. Goddamn, I can't remind goddamn writing. Okay, mass, that's what mass movements can rise and spread without belief in a god, but never without a belief in a devil. Reminds me of that Tertullian quote, that the delight of heaven is looked down on those burning in hell. Alright, so, here's some, oh yeah. Then I wrote down, like, the tomato and the, that's not a quote, though. It's not necessary to talk about. I just wrote it down for my enjoyment. To plunge into change, you must be discontent, not destitute. So he points out that a lot of poor people aren't going to be able to buy into these beliefs because it's too, like, they're too threatened in their life to consider something like this. You need someone who's like middle class or something, you know. It's like the affluent aren't going to do it because they're happy, and the destitute aren't going to do it because they're, you know, too desperate. Appeals not to those intent on bolstering and advancing a cherished self, but to those who crave to be rid of an unwanted self. A mass movement attracts and holds a following not because it can satisfy desire for self-advancement, but because it can satisfy the passion for self-renunciation. Faith in a holy cause is a substitute for lost faith in ourselves. The less justified a man is in claiming excellence for his own self, the more ready he is he to claim all the excellence for his nation, his race, or his holy cause. Is that, yeah, basically. Man is likely to mind his own business when it is worth minding. When it is not, he takes his mind off his own meaningless affairs by minding other people's business. The vanity of the selfless is boundless. Amen. Fucking selfless bastards. A grievance is most prominent when almost redressed. And I followed up on this. Like the French found their position, the more intolerable, the better it became. De Tocqueville is what he said. It is not suffering, but the taste of better things to come, which excites people to revolt. And I wrote down some names that came up in here. Carl Reddick. I think he was one. He's one that was invoked when. Here, I'm gonna switch this around now. Now we'll go back to, and I'm just getting sweaty in here. You know, fucking AC in this bedroom. Carl Reddick, I think, was invoked where they talk about, like, people that are on the fringes. Like, it doesn't matter if they're not, like, gonna be Nazis or if they're gonna be like communists or, you know, some kind of radical. If they're capable of being one kind of radical, they're more susceptible to being another kind. So it almost, instead of being like, he talks about, the fucking trade union guy. And what was another one? Well, anyway, just, the people more closer to the center aren't going to be as attracted to either of the extremes. But, you know, it's almost like this book almost makes a case for the, what is that thing called? The horseshoe theory of politics. So, you know, if you're on the extremes, you know, they're almost closer together. And, you know, it's so silly. I just think about all those people who like, were so resentful of that fact. They could be associated that they did the fucking fish hook theory. Like, bitch, you're just making shit up because you don't like that implication. Deal with it, bitches. Alright, let me see if there's any more notes before I just show some passages up. And I can give further thoughts. Any I missed? The reactionary innovates more than he reconstructs. Oh, that was an interesting fact. That I should write that down in my notebook. The reactionary innovates more than he reconstructs. Because it's like because they have this mythological idea of the past, and it's not a real past. Then the future they're writing is similar to the perceived future of, you know, the right is obsessed with the past, but the left is obsessed with the future. But they're both writing a future because if it's a mythological past, then it hasn't really existed, so it's still radical in a way. So it's interesting. All right, I'm gonna cut here. I guess should I? Yeah, I can talk about my feelings about the book. It kind of enthralled me more than I expected, but as it goes on, and there's not really a knock on this book, it's more of a knock on how my brain reads books like this, that even though it's very small, it's like I'm 100 pages in, there's like 150, but that includes an index, so it's probably much shorter than that. I didn't look exactly where the book ends. I don't like to kind of be surprised how it ends. But I get, I prefer breadth. When it's just one subject and it just keeps hitting it, I start to lose sight of what I'm reading about. I'm like, why am I learning? Like, it's hard to justify 150 pages of even like this. Some of it starts to either feel repetitive or like meaningless. It's almost like semantic satiation applied to a subject. And so I'm like reading, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I start to feel like I'm missing something, or I'm losing, was that the expression, losing the trees for the forest, or something like that. So, I do like this book more than most books like that, just because of the aphorisms. If you have a good aphorism, it captures me all over again, and I'm like, all right, now I'm seeing something like pulchritudinous about this, you know. So, yeah. So we're gonna look at a few passages, I guess, and then this will probably be a shorter one, just because it's just aphorisms, you know. And I mean, I like it; it's a small book, but yeah, let's get to the passages. All right, I like this quote. If anything ill a man, says Thoreau, so that he does not perform his function. If he have a pain in his bowels, even, he forthwith sets about reforming the world. Gives me a good chuckle there. This is interesting for today's, you know, like there's a noblesse oblige where like good poor people, you know, not caring about their best interests. You hear that all the time. Fucking noblesse oblige, modern version. Anyway, talking about, they face the world as they would an all-powerful jury. The abjectly poor, too, stand in awe of the world around them, and are not hospitable to change. It is a dangerous life we live when hunger and cold are at our heels. There is just a conservatism of the destitute as profound as the conservatism of the privileged, and the former is as much a factor in the perpetuation of a social order as the latter. So, yeah, it's very interesting. I'm just going to start reading, because I just wrote this out, and I'll see why I thought this was important. Those who see their lives as spoiled and wasted crave equality and fraternity more than they do freedom. If they clamor for freedom, it is but freedom to establish equality and uniformity. The passion for equality is partly... I'm going to scooch. Is partly a passion for anonymity. To be one thread of the many which make up a tunic. Oh, that's a good game I've been hearing. Aside, a video game named Tunic. It's like a Zelda clone with the fox. Anyway, one thread not distinguishable from the others. No one can then point us out, measure us against each other, and expose our inferiority. They who clamor loudest for freedom are often the ones least likely to be happy in a free society. The frustrated, oppressed by their shortcomings, blame their failure on existing restraints. Actually, their innermost desire is for an end to the free-for-all. They want to eliminate free competition and the ruthless testing to which the individual is continually subjected in a free society. That actually reminds me of when I was a kid. Now I'm like completely great with my personality and all that shit and pizzazz, and I'm just fucking so rad. But I remember when I was in school reading about communism the first time. I think it was in 8th grade, and that was about. This can get into a whole long ass rant if I was to do it, so I'm not gonna go down that road. But I remember being so afraid of the fear of having to figure out what I wanted to do in life that when I was reading about communism, it seemed very appealing to me. As until you read about the actual consequences of it's not that's the thing is you have an ideal. But if you're just a pure idealist and you don't apply at least a little bit of realism, because I think I'm at 60%, it's hard to break it down, but 60% idealism, 40% realism. Maybe it's even closer than that, but I still feel like I'm more idealist than realist. But you have to temper them, man. You got to mix them. You can't. It's like a continuum. You can't be all one or the other, or yeah. But I do think you have to temper, So communism in some I can see how an idealist would find it appealing, but just knowing how it always turns out, it's it's not the system that's the problem. It's people. It's this book. That's another thing this book points out. I didn't write it down, but he talks about how. Or wait, was that the previous book? No, I think it might have been this book too, where the left is focused with power dynamics, and so you see everything as a system, but they never break it down to the biggest problem, which is just human nature. It's the last book I read, The Great Books by David Denby. It's the left never wants to admit that there's generalities about things. So to make even generalities about human beings is almost too fraught for them. But the systemic, you can just blame systems on everything. It's just so stupid. Is there anything else I was going to mention? No. Alright, let's go back to the passages cut. This was interesting. I'm not going to say that every time. This is interesting. The same Russians who cringe and crawl before Stalin's secret police displayed unsurpassed courage when facing singly or in a group the invading Nazis. The reason for this contrasting behavior is not that Stalin's police are more ruthless than Hitler's armies, but that when facing Stalin's police, the Russian feels a mere individual, while facing the Germans, he saw himself a member of a mighty race, possessed of a glorious past and even more glorious future. Their behavior, that's all I really needed to show. I thought that's interesting. Just it's almost like a code switch, maybe. I don't know if that's how you would characterize that, though. This is interesting. Alright. All mass movements deprecate the present by depicting it as a mean preliminary to a glorious future, a mere doormat on the threshold of the millennium. To a religious movement, the present is a place of exile, a vale of tears leading to the heavenly kingdom. To a social revolution, it is a mean way station on the road to utopia. To a nationalist movement, it is an ignoble episode preceding the final triumph. Good. Things which are not in focus. Things which are not. One of the rules that emerges from a consideration of the factors that promote self-sacrifice is that we are less ready to die for what we have or are than for what we wish to have and to be. It is a perplexing, unpleasant truth that when men already have something worth fighting for, they do not feel like fighting. People who live full, worthwhile lives are not usually ready to die for their own interests, nor for their country, nor for a holy cause. Craving, not having, is the mother of a reckless giving of oneself. And that probably just, if you want to pause here, you can read this, but I think it pretty much just, extra elucidation. Fine. Finally, it seems the ideal devil is a foreigner. To qualify as a devil, domestic enemy must be given a foreign ancestry. Hitler found it easy to brand the German Jews as foreigners. The Russian revolutionary agitators emphasized the foreign origin, Varangian, Tartar, Western, of the Russian aristocracy. In the French Revolution, the aristocrats were seen as descendants of barbarous Germans. I didn't know that. I thought that was interesting. While French commoners were descendants of civilized Gauls and Romans. In the Puritan Revolution, the royalists were labeled Normans, descendants of a group of foreign invaders. So that's pretty interesting. Interesting shit. And we're done with this book. Actually, this video we are, but I still gotta read some more. Or I play Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, or Cult of the Lamb, or watch Adam Millard video game videos. We will see. But bye.